And here we are. Hi, everybody. How's Fanfest going? Yeah? Woohoo! Yay! Go Fanfest! So I'm CCP Veritas here from Team Gridlock. We're going to talk about lag, everybody's favorite feature in EVE Online, right? Yes. You're supposed to boo at that. Lag's bad. So I want to remind everybody where we were about last year this time, about Fanfest. I don't know if anybody was here at my presentation last year. It was awesome. But we had about a year, it was about 6 months into it at that point, and we'd moved the bar for fleet fights from about 600 being playable to about 900, which was a pretty good start. We'd spent some time working specifically on missiles, because I don't know if anybody's been in a humongous Drake gang, but that was really hellish on the server, and we made it a lot less hellish on the server. We had spent some time making module cycling more dependable, and accidentally kind of fixed JITA, so you guys weren't having any problems in there anymore. But things were still falling apart pretty badly past that 900 point. We had some fights that were in the thousands, and those were not so fun. And this was one of them. This was in 0202X back on 19th of March, 2011. Who was there? I see 1, 2, 3. Not bad, not bad. Good fight, bad fight? It was a good fight till the lag kicked in, that's right. So what we're looking at here is a graph of how far behind the modules were, the module processing loop in blue, and that's in seconds. So you can see it's 50, 100, 150, 200. It gets up to about 5 minutes behind. And what that means is if you have a fast cycling thing like a civilian laser or something, it cycles every 2 seconds. But in that situation, it's going to cycle every 5 minutes and 2 seconds. Not exactly cool. And then in red here, we have the pending tasklets. These are all the little tasks that the server would just love to get around to doing, but just didn't have time. And that got up to about, what, 150,000? And each one of those roughly translates to a request from a client. So push a button saying, I'd like to shoot this dude. Server says, get in line. So again, not the best experience in the world. And this is a graph I showed last year as well. This is roughly how long those tasklets were waiting to be processed in pretty volcano colors. And at the extreme there, with the little arrow, those dudes were waiting for about an hour and a half. So that's a request to like log out or shoot somebody or something like that, and it just sat there waiting for a while. And that's not cool. But I want to go real quick about how that came about. And because this is an interesting war story. For the thing that was causing that was fetching names of people in chat channels. So the server that was responsible for seeing where your ship was and saying who shot who was also responsible for telling you the little names in the chat window. And it was doing so during the session change. So you're jumping in, the new server says, I need to tell this dude all of his names. And it would wait until the end of that to complete the change. So it would queue those up. We'd get 10 people jump in, each of them have 10 names, so now the server has 100 names I need to go get from the database. And I was going to do those 10 at a time. So I'd go ask the database, hey, who's these 10 dudes? All right, cool, now those 10 dudes. And while it was busy doing that, because again, it was overloaded, and all those requests had to go back into that queue as well, we'd get another 10 people jumping in with another 10 things, and another 10 people jumping in with another 10 things, and you can't do any processing while you're waiting for a session change. Just the way things are architected, that's how it works. So that's why we had, and going back through my cool animation, that's why we had these things waiting for so long. They were waiting for frickin' names in chat. It just goes to show you that you can guess all you like. You never know what causes lag until you actually just go like analyze it. But this was fixed very shortly after Fanfest, like 1 month after we deployed it, in 3 different ways, because fixing it once is never good enough. We now fetch these things 200 at a time, not as a part of the session change, and from a different server entirely. So it's just not even close to being a problem anymore. Little war story. It's fun times. So after we did that for a while, the team transitioned over to work on something we call client-side dogma. And this was to rework the relationship between ships and stations. There was an expansion coming out that was kind of big on that, and we needed to separate that out. Before this, when you were in a station, you were still in your ship. The ship was in the station and you were in the ship, but now you were going to be in the station. So we kind of had to break that setup. And the upshot is we couldn't fit ships because you can only fit a ship that you're in. You weren't in a ship anymore. And I don't know, is that an important thing to do? Yeah, just a little bit. So we made it so that the client can do all the calculations, like you drag in a module and it changes your power grid, CPU, and the client can do that all, and we can trust it, kind of. We check. So you people who think you can get away with it, you can't. But the upshot is, we could do Incarna, but we could also allow you to change your ship in station without doing a session change. Is that popular? Hell yeah! That's good shit. And then after that, we went back and looked at the server, looked at where we were. We were about 900,000 player fights, doing pretty good. It was time to start looking at graceful degradation. And we have to solve this because EVE is a single-sharded game. You're all on the same server. And we really don't like to limit where you can go. If everybody on Tranquility really just wants to get into a humongous fight somewhere, great. That's just fabulous. We don't want to limit that. And so we're in this problem where we have people who want to get into 2,000, 3,000 player fights, and we have to support that. And we can probably get there doing regular optimization, but it's in our interest to make it so that whatever the limit is, if we go over that, the game fails gracefully. And the way we did that was by slowing down time. So if the server gets overloaded, we just slow the hell down and go, all right, we can handle this, just chill a little bit. We got this. And it's really just that simple. The algorithm, this is it. If the server goes 10 seconds without being caught up in processing, we slow down. If we go a full 2 seconds being fully caught up, we speed up. And here we have an example of that. This is from CJ6 a couple weeks back. Who was there? Yeah, good fight? Good fight? Excellent fight. Until the lag showed up? Oh, wait, no. Well, time dilation. Until the little spinny came up and said, you're going a little slower, but it was better. So as you can see here, in the orangey, browny poop color, that fight ran at about 20% time. And that was, again, with about 1,900 players. So similar kind of fight to 020 last year, similar numbers, large amounts of capitals on the field in both, large amounts of fighters and that sort of thing. Interestingly enough, there were Tengus on the field this year instead of Drakes last year. I guess y'all getting too space rich for your own good. But let's look at the comparison graph. So this is on the same scale, same kind of fight, and it was responsive. Hot damn.
Oh, shit. We're all dead.
So I asked some of my special friends, the FCs from that fight, if they would say some words about time dilation and how it changes their experience. Unfortunately, the guy from AAA couldn't be there because he was busy playing EVE. But, words. Oh, now it decides to work. All right.
In the past, we've brought a bunch of caps into places where we've just black screened before and nothing happened. But this time, it kind of works. It is frustrating because it feels like it's really in slow motion and you can't get out of it. But then when you realize that the alternative is black screening and dying alone in the cold for 4 hours, then you kind of get a little bit of appreciation for the tie-dye.
That's Elise from Pandemic Legion. He knows all about black screening and dying alone in the cold. We have some words from the very enthusiastic Mr. V from Goonswarm.
Nowadays, there's no risk jumping into a system, whereas in the past, a lot of the strategy involved how do you not black screen on loading.
That's absolutely true. I used to spy on you guys just for funds, and you'd set up like 6 or 7 sinos, and then hope that the defenders would pick the wrong one, and you'd be able to sino into the other one and get all situated. You just don't need to do that anymore. You can jump in; it's going to work. Yay! And what should you have to say?
You can trust about 2 trillion ISK to being confident that you can jump into a system and fight it out. Whereas in the past, it was a gamble.
I don't know where he gets the 2 trillion ISK number for. I've seen him gamble more than that. But it's a lot of damn money. And it's pretty cool, I think, that folks are willing to put that in line for fights these days. It's a good place to be. And, of course, because we're dealing with Shadu, he has more words.
So I guess today, we play large fights just as we would small fights. Because we don't have to worry about half the fleet suddenly disappearing or not loading or, emergency warping and dying to a small Bammer gang who were probing out crashers or whatnot. You play the game just as you would, no matter of the numbers, which is really good.
Thank you, Shadu. I apologize, Shadu, if I got the translation wrong. I think you said bombers and not bammers, but I don't know. Maybe you like Alabama. Yeah, so it's working pretty well. So what's up next for the next year? Because the server's in pretty good shape there. You see he's chilling out on the beach, getting some Mai Tais or whatnot. So we're moving on. We're going to look at the client for a little bit and get the client in better shape. So our main goals there are to reduce the heavy load, or the load in large engagements. This is your fleet fights, things like that. The frame rate's just a bit lower than we'd prefer. And we'd really like if you were able to turn on effects and turn on brackets and have that all not suck. So we're looking into things like that. And in addition, we're looking to just generally increase the smoothness of the client. There's some places and some operations where you push the button, the client just hiccups a little bit, and then your stuff comes in. And that's just not cool. We want the client experience to be nice and silky smooth and very nice. Along with that, crashes, because crashes are not silky smooth. So we're fixing those. We've got a lot of them down already. We got a new crash reporting system in that's showing us where it hurts, and we're killing those. And while we're at it, we're addressing some minor usability issues that come along with this. We've done some stuff recently with the overview. For instance, dealing with how it locks when you hover over it. Does anybody take that survey? There was a survey about that. Oh. Well, the people who took the survey seem to like it, so I'm assuming everybody's happy. Is there? No? You should have taken the survey and told us why you weren't happy, because we're going to go look at those responses and make them happy. But because you didn't reply, you're not going to be happy. Ever. So for example, one of the things we did recently for the client was looked at text processing. When we were analyzing the performance of the overview, it became obvious that we were spending too much time dealing with text, both on the processing side and the rendering side. Now we have, I don't know if anybody's customized their overview to the point where they get little color tags and stuff in there. But we use a HTML-like language that isn't really HTML, but it's not really anything else, and we can't use any off-the-shelf processor. We've got our own code. It was in Python, and if anybody else has done Python string processing, you know it's not the fastest thing in the world. So we went in, rewrote that all down in C, and it's super happy fast, and that's all much better. And on the rendering side, we were looking at changing the paradigm entirely on how text is rendered. And what we have here is, on the right, a printing press. If nobody's seen a printing press before, that's kind of what it looks like, a plate from it at least. And that's what we were doing. When we had a piece of text that we wanted to render, we took a piece of texture memory and put in all the letters, as you would if you were doing a plate, and then said, okay, now when you want to display that text, here's your plate. So every frame you'd go, bam, there's your text, bam, there's your text. But that worked really well for text that stays around on screen forever. Things like your name up in the corner or the system name or things like that. But when you're looking at the overview and the text is changing every second or two, that's not a very efficient solution. So what we have now is more like a typewriter, where we have the letters down in texture memory. And when we want to do a new string, we just say, okay, I need an A. Here's the A. Bam, there's the A. Now I need a B. Bam, there's the B. And it spends a lot less time making new plates, a lot more time just putting stuff up on screen. So it's a lot faster, and faster is better. And there's an example of how exactly it's better. On the left here, we have before. So this was with the old overview code and the old text rendering. And what we're looking at vertically is how much time we spent in the frame, up to about 150 milliseconds at the worst. And this was with about, I think, 250 items in the overview. So every update, which was every 2.5 seconds, you'd get a little stutter. And that's not cool. That's not smooth. So we killed it. And now, and it's still spiking a little bit, but it's spiking down to like 60, 65. And you can't really notice that, unless you're like superhuman or some shit. But it's much better, much, much better. And what that allowed us to do is, because we weren't having these hiccups anymore, is up the update rate of the overview. So it was updating every 2.5 seconds. Now it updates every second. And if any of you fly really fast frigates or something, I'm sure you've noticed. Anybody notice that one? All right, there's the frigate pilots. Right, so what to expect this year? More of that. We're going into different areas in the client, weeding out the horribleness and making it all just very silky smooth and very, very good. A lot fewer crashes. CCP Snorlax has been going over those like a crazy man, just getting all the reports in, going, oh, yeah, it's right there, fix. And just generally a smoother experience in the client. As well, we're hoping to bring down the memory usage of the client, which I believe is a major barrier between running more of them. So hopefully by the end of the year, y'all will be able to multi-box a whole lot better. And who doesn't like multi-boxing? You don't like multi-boxing? No, who does? Hell yeah, more of that. I run 3 myself, it's good stuff. But we're not quite done with the server. It's in a pretty good place, but pretty good isn't good enough. So we have a couple projects on the plate for making it even better. And the first one I want to talk about is called Brain in a Box. This is to do with all of your skills in your brain and how they work. And the way you notice it in the game is through jumping and undocking, and these things are very expensive on the server, including switching ships, voluntarily or otherwise. And it takes a lot of processing. If you're jumping around 500 dudes, if anybody here's been doing that, you know that it kicks in time dilation pretty heavily. And a vast majority of that load is tearing down all the skills in your brain and bringing them back up. And that's really wasteful and not cool at all. So we're going to put them all in a box. Another server is going to take all the stuff in your brain, boil it down. Well, not boil it down, that's a bad image. Wrap it gently in foil, there we go, and put it in a nice blue box. And then the server that's dealing with your spaceship just has to deal with that box instead of your brain full of books and all this crazy stuff. So that should be pretty cool. That should solve the problem of jumping around large numbers of people and make fleet movements a lot better. And the second one we want to tackle is called Destiny Dispatcher. Now, a significant amount of time in large fights is spent telling everybody about everything that happened. So what we have here is a good example of what we call an n-squared behavior, where we have n number of things happening and about n number of people to tell about it. So we have this situation where every additional ship is more than just a small amount more load. It's a small amount more load, plus we need to tell everybody else about everything he does. So it grows more than just linearly, and that's not fun. It's really unavoidable. I mean, if you're sitting in a fight, you kind of need to see what's going on. That's not optional. And it scales poorly, like I said. As it goes up, this becomes very, very dominant. But the saving grace is that this is a prime candidate for multi-threading. which is something that the Eve servers don't do yet, but I'm hoping this will be a great pilot project for that so we can make use of more modern multi-core architectures. I'm sure everybody has a multi-core machine sitting on their desk. Our servers are obviously multi-core. We need to use it better, and this will do that. So that's all I've got. If anybody has questions, I've got a lovely, attractive mic runner here, CCP master plan. If we can bring up the lights so nobody dies. Fantastic. We got this mic. Do we please have this mic, or another mic, or any mic whatsoever? Da, 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 da. Flip the switch, master plan, geez. Just yell it out and I'll repeat it. Oh, you need a mic? Okay. I guess my voice isn't good enough for him. You're saving it, okay. Am I implying that local causes a majority of lag? No, God, no. It caused certain problems with the client just because it was a lot of text coming in really fast if you actually, had local up when the goons were in system. Yeah, no you're not. Don't lie to me. But server side, I mean, that's just dealing with shoving small amounts of text around. That's nothing compared to like a Tengu fleet shooting a missile every 4 seconds. That's just not even close. Anybody else want to yell one out? The fine gentleman would like to know if there's no problem with local spam, can we stop petitioning it so they can spam in peace? No, and you're a horrible person.
1, 2? Oh, yeah.
We got a mic.
Yeah. It's not really a question, but I would like to thank Veritas for doing a lot of work and working closely with CSM in regarding that issue, as well as constantly listening to all our bitching and mourning and going, hey, there is a fight, come, get some data. Yeah, thanks for doing all that. And if you guys also having large-scale warfare, just, try and report it, and he'll take a look at it and keep improving on the system.
Oh, I want to echo that backwards, in that the CSM has been really helpful for letting us know when humongous stuff's going to happen. So we got a lot of 0-0 guys in there, a lot of the leaders and such, so they know when stuff's going down. So they just phone me up on Skype and are like, hey dude, we got data for you. So it really helps me spy efficiently. Not like in the game spy, I'm a humongous Care Bear, you don't have to worry about that. But I like looking at your fights because it's fun. Yeah, I hope you guys got a lot of questions. I finished early. We're going to make the Eve TV guys work for their money.
Currently, we probably use one data center. I believe it's centered in London. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, what?
Your data center for the CCP cluster that lives in London currently, is that correct?
Yeah, it's in London, yeah.
Are you guys doing any sort of CDN associated with basically distributing the proxy nodes or anything like that concerning getting the data out to, we play in the US, we're fighting Russians who are on the other side of the world. So right now, basically you have 1,600 people who need updates, and there are opposite sides of the world associated with that. Is there any way we could go ahead and improve upon that? I know it's a complex thing. I'm a sysadmin myself, so.
Yeah, I don't think we have any plans in the work for co-locating the proxy layer across the world. In general, Eve is pretty tolerant of latency. We're blessed in that you guys aren't generally accustomed to things happening immediately. It's a little laggy, and that's not going away because that's all based off of the physics simulation working at 1 hertz, once per second for the non-hertz aware. So it's really, that part of it's not that big of a problem to me. We still have the situation where the processing server is still the bottleneck for the experience, I believe. So when we get that fixed, then maybe we can start looking at coloing out, and that being a good idea. Until then, hopefully, Comcast gets a better route to us, and we stop having events like.
No kidding.
Yeah.
We tend to have about half of our fleet drop every major fight due to crashes and
that's a thing.
Comcast digging out. So if there's some way to go ahead and have a reconnect proxy in the client, that would be terrific.
That's something I want to do. I don't know if it's going to happen this year, but I just moved apartments here in Reykjavik, and for some reason they wired the fiber optic, which is awesome, into my bedroom, right? Brilliant, guys. That's obviously where I need it. So, you know, I was using Wi-Fi from my bedroom in one part of the apartment up to my living room where my freaking computer is, going through like 5 concrete walls, and it was just awful. And we were dropping packets like crazy, and I was just getting disconnected. And I don't know if you guys know, but usually if Eve crashes, it comes up a little dialog box saying Eve freaking crashed. If it just quits out, that's a disconnect. Right? So people say, Eve crashed, Eve crashed. No, you probably disconnected. That's not exactly graceful, is it? We could do better. TCP is a very fickle thing under loss. You know that. It is what it is, right? And we need to be better about retries and trying to reestablish the connection without making you guys log in again. I don't know if we're going to handle that this year. I'd like to, but we got stuff to do, dude. Yeah, what's up?
My question is, what are you going to do to make time dilation more fine-grained? Because when we are on a like 30 people roam and some faggots are blobbing like 10 jumps away, it's not really pleasant.
Yeah, absolutely. And that comes down to time dilation being at the machine level, not the machine level, the node level. We run 4 processes of Eve on each machine, and each one of those can have anywhere from 1 to 400 solar systems, right? And the time dilation is for the node. So if one system in that group all of a sudden has a fight, suddenly people, the whole node is going to slow down. That's because the load is shared at that level, and that kind of needs to happen. But there are things we can do. And again, I don't know that we're going to get to it this year. I'd like to, but you know, hopes and dreams and all that is being able to move systems around dynamically. Right now, we can take a solar system and move it to a different node. We just have to disconnect everybody. And especially in the case of a fleet fight, that's not very good because the side that's about to get pounded just won't log back in. And that sucks. We like it when you guys kill each other. So there is some work we can do to make it so we can take the affected solar system and put it somewhere else. And that will alleviate the time dilation for everybody else. That's the ideal solution. And hopefully we'll get there sometime. Back to this man.
Yeah,
he's got words.
I'm sorry, we end up leading a lot of large fleets, so.
It's a thing.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, you're talking about you would go ahead and have time dilation go to 0%, or 100%, I guess, where everything completely freezes. I've seen you guys do it on CCP before. So you basically would freeze everything and then go ahead and take that time to go ahead, snapshot, and move everybody to another server.
That's the idea, yeah.
Yeah, okay. I like that LID a lot.
Any more?
Please hold. Your fight is important to us. Yes. Maybe I'll do the voice acting for that. Do you want hold music? Oh, God. Some smooth jazz, maybe? I like how you made him run all the way back. That's great. You should have seen how he made me run in his presentation.
Well, I'm not a computer geek or, well, know a lot about computers, but a lot of times when you disconnect, your client continues and you think you're still fighting that ship in front of you and, yeah, and, hey guys, kill this guy, and no replies, and, oh, TS disconnects you. Oh,
yeah.
Damn, I'm offline, but I'm still fighting my ship in Eve.
I'm sorry, what was that last part?
Well, when you disconnect, it often takes a very long time before you actually notice in game that you're disconnected. Your client doesn't close down.
Yeah, there's pretty much nothing right about how we handle disconnects. I'm just putting that out there. You're right, it takes a long time for essentially we're waiting for the transport layer to give up. Right, so it's trying, and in really obtuse cases, it can try for a very long time, and we are doing a poor job of telling you that that's happening. So we should do better. You're absolutely right. I should get a piece of paper and note this down. Good thing that there's a video. Oh, you can wait.
Sorry,
Man's
as
got
a greedy, selfish American, I would just like to say that it is rather annoying on the follow-up that the Brits always load grid faster than we do. And so if there is anything you can do down the road to make it so that the US can at least have equivalent load time, I would greatly appreciate it.
Well, I mean, as an American expat, I have sympathy, but, you know, it's a global world, man. You know, deal with it. Now, loading grid shouldn't be that big of a difference, because it should primarily be a latency difference between Britain and the US. It should be about 50 to 100 milliseconds. So if you're worried about loading grid 100 milliseconds slower, maybe you got better things to worry about. They decloak earlier. Yes, that is a thing. And if you're gate camping a lot, it behooves you to take a vacation to London. But the speed of light, there's only so much you can do.
I want to continue about that disconnect message. If I understood you correctly, you were talking about that transport layer giving up, and
yes.
you telling us that we disconnected. Only what I see in a fleet, in a small fleet, I see my member warp off, and he gets the message, or he gets noticed earlier by telling us telling him that he disconnected, than his client does.
Right.
Isn't it the server not being the problem, but the client being the problem, that he doesn't know that he's disconnected? Shouldn't he
right.
find it out earlier?
You're right. Essentially, the server has given up, but the client doesn't know that the server has given up yet. Right. There's no communication there, so the client's trying, and then realizes, oh wait, there's nobody on the other side of the line. I'm going to shoot myself in the head.
So isn't it basically a simple thing of shortening that time, until it says, okay, I'm quitting?
If we shorten that time, then I would expect that we'd have more actual disconnects, because that trying sometimes works, right? Sometimes there is just a hiccup, and the retry will eventually work. If we give up sooner, then we disconnect sooner.
Yeah, but sometimes it's more than 2 minutes, and that's quite a lot of time.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of things that depend on this. There really is no simple answer here. TCP is whack.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Excuse me, can I get this?
The CDP. Yeah, TCP is good, dude.
There isn't a simple answer.
Oh shit!
You
We got a badass here.
When the client is trying to connect, you can have a simple up, and it's trying to connect.
Oh yeah, as far as feedback's concerned.
Like a cable disconnecting.
Yeah. No, like to get feedback in, that's not too bad. But to actually fix the underlying problem is not simple. Oh, the man with words. Oh, cool. He's passing the mic. Thanks, bro. Oh, it's Robert. What's up, Robert?
Well, actually, I was going to say pretty much the same thing as the previous gentleman, which is that, for example, I play on the Mac client, and the Mac client never gives up. It just, it's
a
the
champion,
little client
man.
that can't, and it just, and literally, it will just hang there for hours waiting to try and to connect to the server, and if somebody doesn't tell you, you will just wonder why nobody's talking to you anymore in the game.
Mm-hmm.
It would be really helpful if there was just a little indicator that popped up when it had been like 5 or 10 seconds since the last valid packet came in that let you know, it has been, it has been like 37 seconds since your last valid packet, and then we would know and we could quit the game manually.
Right, absolutely. Linux is pretty good? All right, so Linux is awesome, and Windows is less awesome, and Mac sucks. Don't hurt me, people. Yeah, no. So there is a problem with that, of course, Robert, because we had thought about that, in that the way specifically the physics system is set up, you can go many, many seconds without hearing from the server. If there's no changes, everything's just playing out as it should, then nothing actually happens. The case that comes to mind is like mining, right? You push the button to mine, nothing happens for a while, and there's really absolutely no traffic. And it's legitimately no traffic. And I'm so happy that there's no traffic because it means there's no load. And no load is the best load. Even that, it's more complicated, right? We would have to do some kind of heartbeat daemon, something like that, which we could totally do. Right, exactly, a heartbeat. But it's something we would have to do, and there would be some cost associated with that. And I'm just saying it's not that simple. There are some complicating factors. But if we had a CDN to do heartbeats, then we would need that, and things, right? Stuff to do. I got some. Up top.
Yep. Are there any gameplay gameplay features that are usually performance constrained, like area of effects, and or getting commandship on the grid instead of having them wherever in the game that you're working on?
I can normally understand you fine, but I'm having real trouble right now with the echo.
Okay, so I'm saying again. There are a number of features that are performance constrained that don't happen at the moment much, like area of effects, like Doomsday in the past, they were performance impaired, and or getting command ships on the grid instead of wherever in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Are you working on any of these performance issues that are really gameplay tied? Okay, that's
not
a simple
me.
answer.
Other people might be, maybe, I don't know. But whoop, there's a table there. Not me. I'm doing that stuff, mostly client stuff right now, and hopefully in a couple months getting onto the server projects I mentioned.
Going back to one of the previous there is another game that I play that has when the server potentially crashes or desyncs, the client has a 30-second countdown, which is displayed in red on one of the corners, and then automatically closes if no responses happen during that time. If it comes back, it comes back. The game starts as you last left it, in a sense. Couldn't theoretically something be done for Eve in that same way?
Yeah, in the similar kind of like call response, like I think you might be dead. Are you dead? Yeah, that's.
Well, heartbeat, and then it just checks if it's not received something in 30 seconds. Client auto closes.
Says
if it receives something, it carries on where it left off.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it'd be something like that. Yeah, STO, okay. I think we got time for about 2 more. All the way in the back, all right.
Hello.
Hi.
So you said that Eve uses TCP for transporting data to the server and back. Did you try or maybe think about using a UDP protocol, because of most of shooters and something like that use that, because there's not really important that exactly that packet should really go to server. We can miss a couple of two.
Am I understanding right? Your question is, why don't we use UDP more?
Yeah.
Most of that comes down to we really do need reliable in-order receipt. So the physics system relies on having each update come in sequence. This is number 1, number 2, number 3. If you don't have number 2, you cannot do number 3. So we do need reliable in-order receipt for pretty much everything. So if we went to a UDP-based solution, we would need to reinvent those features, which has been done. I've been on projects that do that. And pretty much invariably, they do it worse than TCP does. There's a lot of history in that protocol for solving that exact problem. There's some cruft that comes along with it, but you have to take the good with the bad. So TCP really is a much better solution for what we are using the network layer for. We got one more. I think there was.
Okay. Last question of the
Last
day.
question. What? How many can JITA hold currently? We have the cap, I believe, at 2,200, which is pretty high.
I was thinking of getting me a Mac laptop to play Eve. What's the downside of it?
The downside of getting a Mac laptop, I can't tell you. I don't play on a Mac. You should talk to Robert. He'll tell you all about it.
Okay, I'll do it.
All right. Thank
you
all for coming.
Thank you.